Hi, it's Jane with Scraptastic Yarns Podcast. And Mrs. Duck, I have some lipstick on. It's not that slut red, because I just grabbed in for the first one I could. So there. Want to show you I have a finished item. And this was done with a Karen cake in big cake in the color cherry compote. I did have yarn chicken, and on one of these ends there is a totally different color added in, sweet roll, but you can hardly tell it, and most folks can't see it, so I'm not worrying about it. This pattern is the one that Purple Iguana wrote for Fiber Spider. And I don't know that I've mentioned Fiber Spider here, but I'm a big fan of Fiber Spider. And I've mentioned it several times in my knitting crochet group because his tutorials I think are absolutely wonderful. But Purple Iguana wrote out this pattern, and it's called a web for Fiber Spider. It's a real easy pattern. It's a one row repeat. You just got to remember where to put the bobble and where to put the double crochet stitch. And I had to tear out a couple because I did make a couple of mistakes, but other than that, it goes pretty fast. Oh yeah, today is Wednesday, October the 10th of Vlogtober. I am working on my projects to the left of me, my whips, and the next one that I have to work on is a shawl, and it is knitted. And this shawl is by, let me see if I can find it. It's called Shell Stitch and Eyelet Shawl, and it's on Knitting on the Net. It calls for 10.5-inch circular needles, and pretty much it calls for probably a DK weight, but I'm doing this in a worsted weight. And I believe, no, I have 10.5 needles, I don't have 11s. Normally when I do shawls, I don't worry about the needle size, I don't worry about the yarn size, because all shawls you do not have to follow the pattern exactly. You can actually use a bigger needle, bigger yarn, smaller needle, smaller yarn than what the pattern calls for. You'll find that using worsted weight, if you use big needles and use a pattern for knitting, that many times it comes out very lacy and very usable. And a larger size. We do have a lot of requests at Prayer Shawl for larger size shawls for larger women and men. So I like doing that. This time I just followed as is the needle size and using a worsted weight. I'll go until I get done. This is done in the deep violet color, real dark purple, from Karen Pound. So, yeah. One of the gals with the baby hats that we've been doing, she turned one of her baby hats, well, a couple of her baby hats, into little gingerbread men. And they are absolutely adorable. She did some surface crochet on them to make what looks like the icing of the gingerbread man, and they're absolutely adorable. I had told you about a death cafe that was in Williamsport, Pennsylvania that I was interested in going to. Basically what this death cafe is for people who have had a near-death experience or have died, to discuss those with each other and, those kind of things. Now, I was interested in going did find out the information of where they're meeting. In the past, they have met at a church, but they're meeting in an apartment, and they don't tell you the apartment number. They tell you to meet down in the parking lot for this week's meeting. And I discussed it with my friend, Dora, and neither one of us are going to go. It is scheduled for Thursday evening about 6:30. The apartment building is in a fairly bad neighborhood of Williamsport, and I just think the two women standing in a parking lot that late at night is a little dangerous because it still gets dark. So we're going to pass. I did call the fellow and tell him that I'm not a fan of the area of where they've chosen to have these. And my question was there not a room that the university, that Penn College, would allow us to use? In the past, as a writers group, we have used one of the side auxiliary rooms. Even the library there, James Brown Library. There's always a place there. Was there a reason that he chose not to have it in a safer area? So, yeah, we've chosen not to go until he decides to either have it different area for the meeting, or until it gets light out, so that we're not standing in the dark parking lot looking for somebody we don't know. It's just not a good idea. So that's what we've chosen to do. I was looking forward to telling you about the experience, but it's going to have to wait. Tomorrow is Thursday, and I had planned on going to Scraps and Skeins. I'm not real sure if I'm going to go or not. I am just really tired, and I think I've been going way too much, so I most likely will stay home. If I don't, you'll get to see the goods I get. That's about it for today. It's a real nice, short, sweet one. We, at the fire hall, we did our normal crocheting knitting. What we're doing right now, I don't know if I showed you or not. I'll show you again. And this is one I got a little bored, so I combined some yarns. Taking a hair tie, crocheting around it, crocheting up, leaving room for a button, and then we'll sew a button on and add a kitchen towel for the senior boxes. So, yeah, that's it. I'm going to get back to work on this shawl, and hopefully I'll be able to knock out another couple of rows to where I'm ready to start doing the shell stitch on this. It's a real pretty pattern. I don't think I showed you the picture of the pattern. That's it right there. And I just thought it was pretty, so I wanted to try it. So that's what I'm doing. Alright, I'll see you again tomorrow. Everybody remember to be kind.